It was a quiet Friday afternoon in the small town of Springwood. The sky was overcast and the air was chilly, with the promise of rain looming in the distance. A group of teenagers had gathered at the local park to discuss their plans for the upcoming Easter weekend. As they sat on the swings, one of the girls, Lily, suggested they go on a hike in the nearby woods. The rest of the group eagerly agreed, thinking it would be a fun way to spend their time off from school. Little did they know, this hike would be like no other. As the group of teenagers made their way deeper into the forest, they began to notice strange things happening around them. The trees seemed to sway and bend in unnatural ways, almost as if they were trying to block their path. The sounds of the forest were distorted, with bird songs and rustling leaves becoming twisted and distorted. As they walked further, they noticed that the animals of the forest were acting strangely. A group of rabbits ran past them, their eyes glowing an eerie red, and a pack of wolves followed closely behind, their fur bristling and their howls sounding like human screams. The sky grew darker and the air grew colder, despite the fact that it was mid-afternoon. The sun, which had been shining brightly when they first started their hike, had disappeared behind a thick layer of clouds, casting an eerie, gray light over the forest. Suddenly, they came across a clearing filled with strange, Easter-themed decorations. Giant eggs, made of what looked like human hair, were scattered around the clearing. The trees surrounding the clearing had been stripped bare of their leaves and had been painted white, as though they had been covered in a strange, unnatural snow. As the group stood there, trying to make sense of what they were seeing, they heard a sound like a distant bell tolling. It was a sound that seemed to come from every direction at once, and it chilled them to the bone. As they continued on their hike, the forest seemed to grow even more twisted and surreal. The trees bent and twisted in impossible ways, and the ground seemed to shift and move under their feet. It was as though they had stepped into another world, one where the laws of physics didn't apply. Little did they know, they were being led deeper and deeper into a trap, set by the sinister figure who was watching them from the shadows. As the teenagers pushed on, the forest grew darker and more foreboding. But finally, they saw it, the old, abandoned church that they had been seeking. But as they got closer, they realized that something was very wrong. The church was painted black, its wooden doors looming ominously in front of them. The windows were boarded up, and the only light came from a few flickering candles inside. The air around the church was heavy and thick, like a shroud, and the stench of decay hung in the air. Despite their growing unease, the group made their way towards the doors and pushed them open. Inside, the air was musty and thick with the smell of rot. The walls were covered in strange, macabre Easter decorations, made from human bones and other body parts. A large cross, made of what appeared to be ribs, hung on the wall, and the altar was adorned with a grotesque centerpiece made from human organs. The room was filled with eerie chanting, and the group soon realized that they were not alone. In the dim light, they could make out the figure of a hooded, robed figure, standing before the altar. The figure was holding a large, gleaming knife in its hand, and its chanting grew louder and more frenzied with each passing moment. As the teenagers tried to make a break for it, the hooded figure turned to them, its face hidden in shadow. It beckoned them towards the altar, its chanting growing more and more frenzied. The group realized too late that they had stumbled upon a sacrificial ritual, and that they were the next offerings. They were trapped in this twisted church. Grotesque Easter decorations made from human bones that clacked together in the wind whisking in from holes in the walls surrounded them. The sinister figure chanted eerie hymns and prepared to claim their lives. Before they could even scream, they were grabbed by the sinister figure who had been following them through the woods. They were locked in the room, surrounded by the grotesque decorations, as the figure began to chant eerie Easter hymns. The teens realized too late that they had stumbled upon a sacrificial ritual, and that they were the next offerings. As they screamed for help, they knew their fate was sealed on this bad Friday.